And my guest is Michael Walsh. He's an attorney, former state representative from Agawam. He chaired, while in the legislature, the Committee on Government Regulations, as it was then known, which oversaw gambling and gambling issues. Also represented gaming interests briefly, I think did some lobbying. You're an adjunct professor of political science at Westfield State, and you know a lot about the gaming industry from a number of different angles. As we get closer to licensing of casinos in Massachusetts, now it's the next step in the process. Are you surprised that as we're coming down to the wire, there's only one possible licensee in Western Mass, only 4 possible statewide at this point?
Yeah, I'm very surprised. I thought there'd be a much more competitive environment out here. And I think the referenda requirement, when it was put into the legislation, I don't think it was anticipated to be such a determinant for who would qualify and who didn't. But yeah, I'm very surprised that it's kind of funneled down to just these few.
Not to criticize anybody in the legislature now who wrote the bill, especially our friend Joe Wagner from Chicopee, who chairs the committee now on economic development and emerging technologies, right. The name of the committee now. But I know some of the gaming interest people, some pulled out before they really got in too deeply when they saw all the requirements and the massive amount of forms that had to be filled out and the disclosures. And was Massachusetts at all too tough, do you think?
I've heard that criticism, and you know what, as somebody who oversaw gaming and pari-mutuel wagering and the lottery and all those things, one thing I learned when I was there is that you only have one chance to do it right. And you know, if the criticism is that we were too tough at the beginning, I'll take that criticism, because once this industry is launched and going, it gains a constituency, and you know, it's jobs, it's people who are working there, it's revenue to the state, and then it's hard to ratchet those things back. So best to have a good, strong, coherent regulatory process in place that you can maybe ease up on later. But when you're setting the foundation for the industry like this, I think you want to make sure you're doing it right, and I think they have.
Let's go down through some of the particulars now in the regions of the state. 3 regions delineated in the casino legislation. 1 license guaranteed for Western Mass, the 4 counties. There were 3 eventually that looked like they were going to apply. Right. Palmer said no in a vote. West Springfield said no in a vote. The only town that said yes and has a proposal going forward is Springfield. People were worried for a while because they thought there might be some questions raised about Springfield and MGM International's associations with people in their Asian gambling casinos, Macau, because of questions raised by the investigators at the state level about Caesars Entertainment and some of their relationships allegedly with the Russian mafia. Now Caesars says, hey, how come if they had some of the same questions raised, they're getting to proceed, they're suing now. It's going to be quite a muddled process, isn't it?
I think in the eastern region it will be. Certainly, if I thought the commission may have acted, or there was one black mark on the commission, it would probably be that the chairman didn't divulge that he had some kind of pre-existing relationship many years ago with somebody who had an interest in the Ever proposal.
The land.
In the land, who owned the land at the Ever proposal. So, and that has cascaded into a whole bunch of other things. That's the crux of Caesar's argument, is that he may have been compromised in his position by virtue of his previous relationships. I think that license is going to be a real challenge for the commission to put forward. As far as the region out here, Western Massachusetts, you know, there's 1 left standing. A few weeks ago, MGM was passed the investigative background check. They're qualified. They were presented as a qualified gaming operator that could get a license here. So really, the issue would be if there's anything long-standing about the site itself that might disqualify it as being something that could be licensed. My guess is they'll get the license, and they'll get it pretty quickly. In the other region, the South Coast region of Massachusetts, that's a little bit complicated too, because you've got first of all, the Mashpee Wampanoag Indians, who have federal recognition, but they don't have a site. They have a site in Taunton, but they need to get the federal government's approval to take it in trust and put it in Taunton. That hasn't been gotten yet, and it's not a slam dunk as it used to be 20 years ago. And then, of course, my old clients, the Aquinnah Wampanoags, have made noise about putting some kind of bingo hall or casino facility at the tip of Martha's Vineyard at Gay Head at Aquinnah, and you know, the governor will not allow that to go forward.
He's suing them, right?
He's going to sue them, and I think he's got good grounds for it based on what my recollection of the compact was, is that they had That was something they claimed they would never put a place there. And even in the compact with Governor Weld, that was the agreement, that they would not site one in Gay Head, but they would find a place off the island where they could do it. So, but that makes for a very muddled process there as well. So I think good news for Western Massachusetts is that for those who are in favor of casino gaming is that this license will probably be granted and be the first one out of the box, along with the slot parlor license that's allowed for in the legislation. My guess is that'll probably end up in Brockton or somewhere, in that kind of South Shore, Central Mass region. But I think Brockton is probably the best option there.
Let's come back and talk a little bit more about our specific area and the MGM proposal. As somebody who's studied this and watched this for a lot of years now, do you see any pressure on the commission because there is only one proposal still standing in Western Mass? Is there any pressure on them, do you think, to say, wait a minute, do we reopen the process? Do we see if somebody else wants to come in? It doesn't seem like maybe there is anybody, and if there is, what town are they going to go to get an approval? And sure, is it kind of a done deal?
I'm sure they'd never say that, but it becomes extremely difficult to not license a facility now going 3 years into this legislation becoming law. And I don't. They would say no, that they're making the decision in a vacuum, but they're going to be awfully hard pressed not to come up with a license and grant the license. And there's really, at least not right now, there doesn't seem to be any indication that there's a reason not to license the MGM proposal. So I think that they're going to do it, and they'll do it pretty quickly. And I don't doubt that they have to show something for what they've done over the last 3 years.
In the broader sense overall, are we, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, just getting into this overall game too late? Casinos all around us. Connecticut, very successful Native American casinos, though they've had some tough times. The bad economy. New York, Rhode Island's had a little trouble. But this isn't a big state in population or area. Are we just jumping in maybe a little too late to really make a big splash?
I think we jumped in not too late, but late. We'll make money. The money will be made at these facilities. But think again, Jim, we were together a couple of years ago, and we outlined, I think, pretty correctly as to how this is going to roll out. And we're still at the very beginning of this process. Even if a license is granted before June for the MGM proposal, it's going to be probably 2 to 3 years before it's really up and operating. And then the full implementation in Massachusetts, all 3 casinos plus a slot parlor, you're talking 5 years, maybe 6 years out before the full implementation takes place. A lot can happen. As you've said, there's 55 level 3 casinos in the Northeast region, in the Northeast corridor. 55 now, before Massachusetts gets in. That's a pretty saturated market. And if you take a look at the map, New Hampshire, Vermont, and Massachusetts are the only blank spot in there. But within there, all around it, you have Twin Rivers Casino. You've got the Connecticut casinos. You've got the New York casinos. And to the north, Montreal and about a half dozen casinos that border that region too. Then you get down into Pennsylvania, New Jersey. Maryland has jumped into this now. Delaware has as well. Pennsylvania has, I think, 11 casinos. New Jersey has Atlantic City and others. And New Jersey's doing online gaming. So to answer your question, we're late. And 6 years ago, we might have captured more revenue because we would have been in sooner and established a market share on a better environment. But there's still money to be made.
Well, Michael Walsh, thanks for coming in. Thanks for your perspective, sir.
Thank you, Jim.